Winter Party Dress Making Up Part 1. My party dress sewing pattern is now complete. Visit angelakane.com to buy it or join for access to all my patterns. Here is the step-by-step sew-along. At last I have got around to making up this length of damask furnishing fabric. I think it would make a great winter party dress. It drapes nicely, and I can visualize soft pleats. I have a rough idea of how I would like it to look, so I will scribble my initial thoughts and get to work on the pattern. I will give it a boat neck with a soft stand collar, which is flattering, raglan sleeves and French darts, a full skirt with soft pleats at the waist, 3/4 length sleeves with a cuff, a fabric rose at the neckline or waistline will give it that little extra something. I have just about enough fabric, but it will be tight. I am using up some oddments of lining rather than buying a new length. This small bit for the bodice and this soft off-white for the skirt will do fine. The pattern is finished. There are quite a few pattern pieces, but don't be put off by the process of assembly. When you run out of table space, just let it fall off the edge. Use any sort of weight to keep it in place and continue taping up the pages. When you've finished, roughly divide the large sheet up into manageable groups, cutting between the pieces, and then cut out each pattern piece. For more information about my sewing pattern format, see the links below this video. So the pattern is ready. Main pieces, lining and interfacing. If you want to reduce the bodice length for tall or petite body types, look for the parallel lines and adjust accordingly. I'm also reminding myself that I want to find some very soft interfacing for the collar, something that will pad rather than stiffen. This is the collar piece with its soft fold, which will be left unpressed. I'm now ready to cut out. I cut this pattern from the unfolded fabric as it is such a tight fit. This is worth remembering if you want to make the most of a short fabric length. Pay close attention to reversing your pattern pieces for left and right and flipping your pieces that would otherwise be on a fold. I now have all the pieces cut out. I have snipped all the notches and marked all the dots with tailor tacks. It takes a little while, but it pays off to get it all done in one go. You'll get the pleats in the right place, and your pocket bag will be positioned correctly. The same goes for the lining pieces. See my link below for guidance on other methods for transferring markings. As I will be wearing this dress, I have altered this pattern by overlapping about 1 centimetre to reduce the length of the bodice a little. Alter each bodice piece by the same amount, and don't forget the bodice lining. Back waist length adjustment cures many fitting issues. See the adjustment links below. I have cut out the interfacing. I'm still thinking about the interfacing for the collar. I might use something like this wadding. If it's too thick, I can separate it like this, so that it's not so bulky. See the information below, preparing your sewing machine. If you are a beginner, see the links below. I'm assuming you know the basics, such as how to stitch darts, pressing seams, and understitching, etc. Stay stitch the raglan seams and around the neckline. This protects the seam from stretching while you are making up. The next job is to attach the interfacing to all bodice pieces. I've gone old school, as I have quite a lot of sew-in interfacing to use up, and sometimes I prefer it for the softer effect. Match the thread to your fabric and stitch within the seam allowance. Next we will stitch all the darts. That will be for the lining, the shoulder facing, and the main bodice pieces. You can pin and then baste the darts. See below the "Don't sew over pins" warning. For experienced seamstresses, just machine. I've stitched all the darts of the lining and the main fabric. I'm loving the look of these French darts. It is a French dart because it is cut at an angle rather than coming from the side. These are the shoulder darts in the facing pieces. The bust darts are pressed down. The other darts up from the waistline are pressed towards the centre. Next we will sew the 4 raglan sleeve seams. These are the 2 backs. Here is the centre back opening, which will have an invisible zip. The raglan sleeves and the front bodice. Snipping into the seam allowance beforehand will help you to match these seams. Make sure you match the double notches for the back seam and single notches for the front. We will stitch all 4 seams in one go. So the seams are now stitched. I have trimmed them and pressed the seam allowance down away from the sleeve towards the bodice. Or you can press the seams open. Looking at the front, the seams are pressed. Next we will sew the underarm seam from the cuff to the waist. The bodice is taking shape. I have trimmed and pressed the side seams and underarm seams open. Making up the winter party dress continues in part 2. Look for the link below. This pattern is ready to download at angelakane.com. Join for all my patterns or purchase them individually. This dress could be dressed up in so many different ways. I have yards of this black net. A black net sash at the waist with a big showy bow, black net and silk roses, a black net stole for a bit of theatrical glamour. You will find sew-alongs and e-books for many of my patterns. All are free on my site and on YouTube. You will find my range of classic sewing patterns at angelakane.com/sewing patterns. Subscribe to my channel to stay up to date. Thank you for watching this video.